Hey, thanks for joining me. Let's keep on keeping on with Stormwatch. I've got issues 17 and 18 here today. I think we're going to go through them both. Um, my memories of Stormwatch in terms of its first run in its early years, there's a lot of caveats to this statement, are rapidly approaching the end of what the hell I remember that I got and what I remember that I'd read. I think it was around this time when I was starting to check out with Stormwatch. They had some storylines that were, like I've said, Stormwatch was never the worst thing ever by any means, but it's never the greatest thing. It's just kind of, at best, in my opinion, in its early years, just right smack dab right in the middle at best. And that's, I mean, it could be worse. It could be an Extreme Studios title. But as I kind of go back in my mind and think about what's happened with the characters, this is roundabout the end of clear memory for me. I'm not certain if I even have issues 19, 20. I've got a few random ones kind of collected up. I do know that it's rapidly approaching. There was that, I always forget the name of it, Images of Tomorrow. Is that right? Where they basically jumped forward to issue 25 and everything went to hell. Characters were dead, space station torn from the sky. Wildcats and Stormwatch had kind of teamed up for some reason. And the leader battalion, he saw this all because a character come along, grabbed him, took him into the future, and showed him the horrible future to come, which specifically included his death at some point in the near future. And then once he's gone, the Stormwatch team itself is going to go through absolute hell, and he sees what that future is going to be. And the most interesting aspect to that whole concept, which I give credit to them for, is it's not like a Days of Future Past thing in X-Men where this is what the future will be unless we change it. And then they go and change it. This will be what the comic will be at issue 25. So the writers have to work towards that issue. There's no working around it and undoing it. It has to happen. So, like I said, credit where credit is due. It's an interesting idea. And I do remember very much wanting to see how that was going to play out. But, like I said, I just started checking out. I was just done. No, I can't. It was starting to get where there was nothing interesting going on. So I've got a few random issues spread out, and we'll get to them. Honestly, if I'm being honest and truthful here, I'm kind of dying to get past this bullshit because after issue 25, I stopped collecting it for a long stretch. I was done. And then at some point, I started hearing after, I don't know, it might have been a year or two, I don't know. People were talking about Stormwatch again. And there were some great storylines going on. There was getting, whether sales were great or not, I don't know. But word of mouth and critical acclaim was coming along. And I looked into it, and I eventually kind of found out that Warren Ellis had picked up Stormwatch and was writing it. And I didn't know who Warren Ellis was, only that he was getting a lot of praise. And Warren Ellis's run on Stormwatch is fantastic. It made the characters and the concept so much more interesting. It's akin to what Alan Moore did to Wildcats, but in my opinion, even better. I'm trying to think of another example. There's not really an example where another writer come along to a title and made it 1,000 times better over at Top Cow. Unfortunately, Cyberforce just always was what Cyberforce was. But Warren Ellis took Stormwatch to some fantastic places and then spun it off into the Authority, which is the thing that everyone remembers. Anyway, I'm getting out in the weeds. I'm just kind of excited to finally, very shortly, get past this initial first run of Stormwatch, which was earnest effort from all creatives all around, I think. I don't think anybody made this shit thinking they were making garbage and just doing it for money and not caring about the work. But the work just kind of doesn't stand the test of time, if I'm being honest. But anyway, to start out with issue 17, they're all at a funeral. And this is kind of a trope that you see in comics often. Sorry, I'm actually looking at my phone here. I can see it wobbling. My laundry is going in the next room, and that goddamn washer shakes the floor, and it's actually vibrating the phone here. So if you see it vibrating, I'm sorry, it won't last forever. If you get nauseous, send me the bill. But the trope where a character dies, and they bury him, and you got all the teams surrounding him, having a dramatic, sad funeral. And we're supposed to feel bad for, what's his name? Jackson King, the leader of Stormwatch. He was killed in the last issue. And again, to their credit, they saw it coming. We were told he was going to die. We just didn't know what, when, where, how, what. But the team gets called to fight some giant purple monster on top of a volcano with a bomb strapped to his back. And he took the bomb off the monster and contained it within a mental force field that he can project, and it blew up and killed him. So now we're starting out. This is Battalion's younger brother. He's pissed off. Now, I gotta say, what in the holy shit is he doing? He's standing there. He's clenching his ass cheeks like he's got to take a shit, screaming no. He's like, I gotta hold it in. If I give just 1 little inch, if I relax for even a millisecond, I'm gonna shit my britches. But I don't get what he's doing. I'm like, okay. And then you flip it over. It's still not super clear until the cops here said that he's over here blowing up statues. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess there's a statue here, and this is him blowing it up. It looks like he's lasered it into pie slices. I should mention the art team, and this is something that I was actually shocked at. These creative teams don't do this very often. This book has no less than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inkers and 3 pencilers. So 13 people doing the penciling and inking, and then colors are Steve Furkow, if that's how you say his name, and Wildstorm Effects. So a bunch of people. But the thing that they actually did is that, one, they didn't just list the pencilers, they listed the pencilers and what pages they actually worked on, including the inkers. And then, even better, they numbered the pages. So if you wanted to know what page my good friend Chuck Gibson inked, he only inked page 8 according to the credits on this. I don't have to guess or just go back and physically count. Don't get me wrong, I can count, I'm not stupid. But it just makes it so much easier to go, oh, here's the page that Chuck inked. Although I do have to say, I did point out that Chuck inked something on a comic not too long ago, because for those of you who follow my channel, inker Chuck Gibson, I know him. Me and him are homies. We're friends. He's done inking for me. He's amazing. We were talking about how the credits listed him as inking a page, and he commented on the book. He's like, I don't know who the hell wrote those credits. He's like, but I didn't ink that page. So somebody got it wrong. So for all I know, it's not 100% certain. He can chime in. He'll tell us. But anyway, so we got Matt Broom, who's been kind of the main artist, who's actually impressed me with what he can do. But his work is getting less and less through the book. He does pages 1 through 5, 7, 9, and 17. Then you got Ryan Benjamin and Dan Norton. So this is Matt Broom. Battalion's brother is blowing apart a statue. He's screaming. He's crying. Cops show up. Again, there's some interesting dynamic poses. This has kind of got that weird early kind of 90s computer coloring, but somehow they kind of pull it off in a way that I still kind of like. I don't know why the cop is holding the gun sideways. He's like, hey, Chief, can I hold the gun sideways? It just makes me feel so cool. And the other cop's like, whatever you say, birthday boy. But this cop holding his gun sideways like a gangster, and then he's pointing his finger at the guy. Guess what? You can't pull the trigger on your fucking gun. If you have your sidearm drawn, you're pointing it at him, you're aiming, and you got your finger on the trigger. This is just for dramatic effect, but that's stupid. It's just dumb. But they're like, hey, calm down. And he flips out and blows up the ground, and he tells them to, sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up. And the cop's like, dude, you don't get to assault cops and blow up statues. And he's like, I'm with Stormwatch. I've got diplomatic immunity. So he's being a piece of shit. Now we cut back to a scene where the team has captured the big giant purple monster that killed Battalion. They don't know who or what he is. Now we, the readers, I don't know that I don't remember if back in, when was this published? I'm going to guess 94. Hey, what do you know? December 94. If I knew that this was Maul from the Wildcats, I'm going to guess so, but I don't know. I don't know if the readers are supposed to know, probably. But the characters don't know who this giant monster is that they just defeated and was responsible for the death of their leader. The story's kind of irrelevant. They're checking him out. They don't know who he is. They're talking about they should kill it. They're like, well, we can't kill it. We don't know what it is. We're not those kind of people. Let's just hold on for a minute until we figure out what's going on. Here's the thing that's going on with this page from a artistic perspective. It's either a massive storytelling fuck up or an actual storytelling bit of genius thinking on the part of the penciler, I'm guessing. And the thing that I'm referring to here is, so you've got a double page spread. There's 5 panels here. And so you got a side view shot of the characters. Dr. Maul right there. Dr. Maul. Wouldn't that be a great character name? Dr. Maul. Trademark, copyright, Rob Norton. Fuji, probably. Fuck, I don't even know. Don't care. And then Synergy, the leader. The weatherman. She's there. Anyway, the point that I'm getting at is that you've got these characters examining the body. I can't imagine that Ron Mars would have directed the panels to be like this. This is either where it's a giant failure and the letterer fixed it in the most genius manner to make it work, or if Matt Broom did it being a genius. I kind of suspect that he's not a genius with his storytelling and the letterer had to come up with a way to kind of fix it. My point being is that this girl here, she's got a whole bunch of dialogue to say, but Matt Broom didn't leave anywhere for her dialogue to be connected to her unless you put all the dialogue over here and had a long tail stretching all the way over to here. Normally, you don't go from, like this panel over here, this big long shot of the girl should be, theoretically, the last panel you read on a page. It's the last one off to the right. It leads you out of the page. But the lettering from her conversation, she talks and it goes straight to that figure of her. And then my eye just naturally, I'm like, I'm not following it down, except when I was tracking, like, of course, the nipples drawn on the art, the unnecessary nipple pointy shit going on. You'd think maybe you follow it down here and you could get confused by coming over to here. But no, I read it as I come across here, got the dialogue from her, and then I come back over here and follow the dialogue through here to where then she is speaking again, and those dialogue balloons are connected to the same panel. So it's the same panel has dialogue balloons for the same character saying things with 3 different panels in between each dialogue balloon. And it's linked up here and then down here again. Does that follow what I'm saying? And so I kind of I don't know that Ron Mars as a writer would have laid this out and told him to do it this way. And I kind of doubt Matt Broom is genius enough at the time to construct it that way, but maybe, I don't know. I just think that the letterer probably looked at it and goes, Jesus Christ, I have to connect all this lettering. It's supposed to be her saying it, but I don't have anywhere to put it. So if I put it over to here, so basically one panel in a way becomes 2. You come back to this same art twice following the dialogue that she says. And it's actually, if I'm, again, like I said, I'm just guessing here, and I'm crediting that to the letterer. And it's a brilliant way to fix the problem. I was staring at this and just kind of tracking it and thinking about how you construct it. Because for those of you who know, I make my own comics and I have had to letter my own stuff. And it's not easy, especially if you don't leave spacing for the balloons. But what a great solution. So anybody out there who's watching, who's like me and what I like to refer to myself as an enthusiastic amateur, who has to make our own stuff. There's kind of an example of a way to solve a problem. It's actually really, really good. I really actually like it. Good solution to a problem. Anyway, back to the story. Who cares? It's some monster. They don't know what's going on or who he is. They'll figure it out later. Now the girls get together and have girl time to talk about, braiding each other's hair and watching romance movies, and about the heartbreak that Diva here is going through a rough patch with her boyfriend. Stupid Cannon is his name. And then Battalion was banging the weatherman girl here. So it sucks. Then they're just kind of lamenting how much things suck here. Back with Battalion's brother. His name's Malcolm. His code name is Strafe. But he's going to meet up with his mom and have a little heart-to-heart like, we've just lost my brother, her son. This sucks. And so it's a kind of a conversation that the characters would need to have. And the mom is talking about how she lost her husband, Battalion's dad, and now she lost her firstborn son. So it's just them that are left. So as a story point, it's one of those things that needs to be in there, and it works. And, they talk about what the brother, younger brother here, he's kind of like doubting himself, but he's like, I gotta step up and be the hero that my brother was. It's just kind of stereotypical cliche thoughts, but it's a universal truth. I think it works fine. This next page with the bad guys, I might be kind of kidding myself where I'm looking for something to be entertained and impressed by. But I gotta say, in terms of a storytelling beat, there is a moment here that I'm like, ooh, that worked. Because this is Defile. I've talked about him being the most pointless, generic, giant, super uninteresting villain ever. And there's so many of these guys. They're big, they're muscular, they've got capes and shiny bits and pointy parts and horns. Who the hell cares? This is not an interesting villain. But his little henchman is here. He's like, hey, Lord Defile, Stormwatch has the creature, the big purple monster, Maul. They sent Maul in the last issue, and they're like, well, Stormwatch has him. Do you want me to turn him back on? They have the ability to activate him. And Defile's like, no, the creature did what I wanted it to do, which was to kill Battalion and disrupt the team. He's like, the monster's of no more use to me. Let them do with it as they will. And he continues on saying he's planning out his future moves. He's got big plans he's working on. He says, my attention is already drawn to the next facet of my design, the betrayal of Stormwatch from within. Slowly, my plans near fruition. I've waited millennia. I can wait longer. And then this last panel, he's just like, patience. Patience. For some reason, with this douchebag nobody villain, I kind of liked the story beat and the way that it was portrayed. Basically, he's like, I don't need that thing. I've got bigger plans that I'm working on. And just the fact that he's not cackling, he's not laughing maniacally. He's just like, I've got a multi-step plan. I'm working on it. And all we have to do is be slow and cautious and patient, and it'll all work out. I just like this last panel. He's just like, patience. For some reason, it stood out as like, good moment. It's a dumb little thing. I'm really reaching for something interesting. But again, I'll attribute that to Ron Mars. That was pretty good. I like that. It worked. Now let's get on to the uninteresting shit. Back up with Stormwatch. They're all gathering as they do. Now we move on to, I'm pretty sure this is Ryan Benjamin, who's, again, he's a fantastic artist these days. He's been really good for a long time. But his earlier stuff, I've never been really a huge fan of. You could tell he's talented, but it never had that unique factor that made it stand out. He was never like that Michael Turner, who was kind of like a generic background artist guy that suddenly blew up, or a Travis Charest or a David Finch. He just was kind of like mid-tier and good, but didn't blow up while he was at Wildstorm, in my opinion. But he was fine. But as is a cliche thing, the team has to get together in a room and be like, all right, we have a mission to go on, so we're going to brief about what we're going to do. It's like Ryan Benjamin didn't really have an idea of what to put in the backgrounds, and I get it. It can be complicated, so he just put kind of generic, like, cyber-tech walls. It's better than a flat, blank wall of cracked concrete. This is 1,000 times better. We all know who I'm talking about. But I gotta be honest, looking at this panel of all these characters here, you've got Fuji, Winter, Sunburst, Cannon, Diva, Fahrenheit. What the hell are they all sitting on? Like, Cannon's here with his leg up on something. What is Diva sitting on? What is Fahrenheit sitting on? The way that Ryan Benjamin drew this, it literally looks like they're all microscopic people sitting on top of Sunburst? I thought I called him Sunburst. Whoever the fuck this asshole is. Flashpoint is his name. That's Sunburst. This is Flashpoint. But, like, literally, Diva's ass is sitting on the top of his head. Fahrenheit's ass is sitting on top of his head. Cannon's bent leg is propped up on the top of his head. Now, this is just a compositional thing that didn't stand out to him. He's like, all right, I got to draw 10 characters in this panel. So he's like, okay, this guy here, girl here, guy here. I'll put center figure here, and then I'll just group all these guys in a giant sex pile right up here. But it looks like they're all sitting on top of this dude's head. And once I saw it, I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, he didn't mean it. He's an early artist. No one pointed it out to him. He's probably penciled in ink before anybody looked at it and went, oh, maybe we whatever, fuck it, move on. So it's fine. It's not a big deal, but it is funny. But anyway, they're talking. We have a mission to go on. Battalion's brother shows up. He's late. And Flashpoint knows that the brother, Malcolm here, is sad that his brother's dead. And Flashpoint says, hey, it's no great loss. Meaning his brother's death is no great loss. That's fucked up. So he's pissed. He's like, what the hell did you say? He's like, you heard me. It's no great loss. So now they attack each other, and the other teams have to hold them apart because, of course. And they're like, hey, you both need to quit being assholes. Flashpoint, stop being a douchebag. Strafe, stop being a douchebag. We have a mission to go on. Anyway, she's like, so now the weatherman, Synergy here, she's like, we have a mission to go on. We have things we have to do. I have to appoint a new leader. Cannon always has been vying for that leadership role. He doesn't get it because she assigns it to Diva, his girlfriend. She gets to be the leader. And Cannon's like, fuck that. He's pissed off, throws a fit like a little bitch, and he basically quits. Screams at all of us, I'm out of here, I resign, and she's like, great, this is just fantastic. Anyway, we'll have to deal with this later. We got a pin up in the middle of the book. I never know how to pronounce this guy's name exactly, so I'm not even going to try, but inks by my boy Chuck Gibson. Not a bad shot. It's fine. It doesn't stand out as amazing, but it's fine. It looks all right. Now, finally, we get to the point of the fucking book, the funeral for Battalion. And so everyone's standing there, and it's always raining, right? Is there ever been a funeral in comics ever where it hasn't been raining? Probably most of them, but for some reason it always feels like it has to happen in the rain. They give long speeches, blah, blah, blah. It sucks that he's dead. And then they light the thing, his little eternal flame. It sucks that our leader's dead. Cut to Matt Broom comes back on art, and I kind of dig some of the stark kind of graphic shot that he's got going on up here with the gravestones and stuff and this thing. Like, it's pretty interesting. And so this is a villain who shows up. His name is Argos. And he's like, it sucks that you're dead. I don't get to take my vengeance out upon you, but I'll take it out on your team. And I'm like, who the hell is Argos? Just another in the sea of bullshit characters that are, in this book that I don't know and I don't care about. But I get it. We're setting up future stuff. And then one of the other moments in the book that I thought, as far as pacing-wise and emotional tone, worked really, really well. Forget the funeral where all these words are said that I don't care about. Forget them lighting the flame. Forget the bad guy coming to give his, condolences or whatever. We start out, this is the Stormwatch Observation Lounge. No words anywhere. There is some pretty well drawn. Who drew this? I need to give credit where credit's due. Pencils on page 18. Ryan Benjamin. Credit to that man. This shit looks good. Good design. Got these like drapes and stuff and these statues. And on the wall are pictures of Stormwatch characters who have died. And then just silently, this guy comes in. I think he's the tech guy. He's got something wrapped up in his arm. He unfolds it and hangs it up on the wall. And it's just the picture of Battalion. To hang up that, to show that in this memorial room, the images of lost and dead members, they hang up their picture, and now they just kind of pass into history. And I like that there's no words, and he just silently hangs up the picture of Battalion. No words, no text, no verbalizations trying to make us feel anything. Just the silent moment of the guy hanging up the picture, and the comic ends there. I was like, you know what? That works. I really like that. So good job, guys. There's a backup story. Loose cannon, because the character's canon. Jeff Rebner on pencils, and I do not like that guy's shit. I have made no bones about that ever since he showed up. I don't know why the fuck they hired him. His art, like, he has some talent. He's not a nightmare, but his style does not work for Wildstorm. It's just so far weird. And my boy Chuck Gibson had to ink him. It's fine. I think the coloring sucks. It's Steve Furkow. He knows what he's doing. I don't like the coloring. I don't like the penciling. But basically, it's Cannon and his girlfriend Diva. She's coming to show up and be like, why are you quitting? Why are you being a man bitch? And he's like telling her to shut up. There's a lot of dialogue. They're just going back and forth. You could kind of get the point of what's going on. You know, she thinks that he needs to man up and stay around and support the team and not be a quitter. And he's just an angry little fucker. And he gets mad and blows a hole in the wall. And he leaves, and she's standing there crying. Again, Rebner's doing some designy shit. There's detail applied to tech and stuff like that. He can draw. He puts in effort. But I don't like his style. Never have. And I don't know what the hell he's doing these days. If he's still creating, if he's still alive. I don't know. Never liked Rebner. But anyway, so, you know, it's fine. It's a fine book. There was a couple of moments, like I said, where the storytelling beats really connected. It worked. Let's go on with Stormwatch 18. Matt Broom on the cover art. That is not a great figure. And it's kind of unfortunate because at this point, Broom has been drawing for a while. He's got her proportions all fucked up for a cover image, and it's just a straight on, no weird angle. We're not a high angle looking down at her or a low angle looking up where you have to like get the character in perspective. It's literally, essentially, a nude female figure straight on, standing straight up and down with her arms out to the side. And I'm sorry, he fucked it up. Her torso is way short. Her arms are way long. Like, if she were to bend this arm down, it's like going to come down here to her freaking knees instead of mid-thigh. Her face looks weird. I don't have it near me. But like the cover to Wildcats #2, where Void is on the cover doing the same basic thing by Jim Lee. Like, the idea is fine. But, you know, Jim Lee had basically done this same pose, and it's a terrible figure. It just looks so weird. The other figures look kind of fine. Boy, Matt Broom just loves to put his nipples on the girls' titties. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan, but sometimes it just gets kind of embarrassing. Anyway, let's get into credits on this one. It was like 13 people between pencilers and inkers. This one, Matt Broom, Salvador LaRocca, and Pop Han, that's the guy's name I couldn't pronounce in inkers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So one less inker. But my boy Chuck Gibson, he gets to ink several pages. He does 3, 4, 5, 10, and 11. And again, they numbered the pages of who penciled and inked what. And then the pages themselves, well, not all of them, but some of them. It's funny, I open up to a page that doesn't have page numbering on it. But like there's one, 15, 14, but they didn't letter these or number. So at least it gives you some ability to kind of seek it out without having to get too crazy. Anyway, there's Diva. Remember we just saw her? Her boyfriend quit, broke up with her, and acted like a big man bitch. So she is out here staring off into the universe. Who's penciling this? This is Salvador LaRocca. He's not bad. It's a good figure. Pretty solid splash page. I like the spacey background in the tech. It looks good. But anyway, the girls are getting together again. There's Diva and there's Fahrenheit. That's a good shot, an overhead shot looking down. Great figure work. It looks pretty solid, all things considered. But they're like, things suck. Battalion's dead. Cannon's gone. God, things suck for Stormwatch. But then we get a call from Fuji like, hey, can you guys get down to the medical bay? We figured out something. So they get together. And they're like, they basically go, we figured out who the giant purple monster is. It's Maul, one of the Wildcats. And so most of these characters don't know what the Wildcats even are. They're like, who or what is that? And so they're like, he's called Maul, though even that much is supposed to be classified. So they kind of mention how the Wildcats are, the government team here only has bits and pieces of information about them. They're freelance operatives. They don't know who they work for or where their loyalties are. We don't know what the point is or who they are. But this is one of their members, and their member showed up and caused the death of our leader. So a confrontation is building. As they have that conversation, Void teleports into the room and teleports away with Maul's body. Now, this was shown in Wildcats way back when. I don't remember which issue, 17, 18, something like that maybe, where the Wildcats found out that their Maul, who was on their team, was actually an imposter who was trying to assassinate somebody. And once they exposed that, the team stopped and looked around at each other and goes, okay, we flushed out the imposter, but where the hell is our Maul? Where is our guy? And eventually they discovered where he's at. So Void just shows up, teleports in there, and takes him. It's gone just that quick. And the Stormwatch crew is like, you sons of bitches. Like, now they're pissed even more. My boy Chuck Gibson, according to the credits, he inked these pages. There's an interesting kind of wavy, like metallic, shiny textures going on in this figure there. Looks pretty good. But, yep, okay, so that part's done. It's just she teleports away. Fuji's pissed. He's like, God damn it. How do we let him get away? And they're like, you know what? We know who's responsible. We'll be ready for them next time, and we'll get our revenge if we have to. Now we cut back to down at the grave of Battalion. There's Synergy, the weatherman. She's talking to the grave, and while she's not paying attention, mysterious hooded guy shows up, grabs her, zaps her brain, and presumably kidnaps her. Now we get 2 pages from Matt Broom, who only penciled these pages. He only does these 2 pages, and I gotta say, the storytelling on this first page is fucking horrible. It's not clear at all. The only way you can follow what's going on is because of the words. You start out with 2 guys. Now, just the basic storytelling is you have to be able to show somebody in a comic page and let them, a person needs to understand, at least on a basic level, what is going on without words. You got 2 guys standing here, and then one guy salutes, and now there's a group of guys, and a dude shoots nothing and pushes buttons. So, okay, so these 2 guys are sitting there talking. They're just a couple of guards, I guess, at this maximum security facility in Snozgorsk, whatever the fuck, in Russia. But apparently what happens is, as they talk, this guy who's saluting at attention is this guy here, and they see this group of guys show up. And they're like, Commander Zond, forgive us. We did not hear your approach. How may we serve you? He's like, by standing still. And then he just shoots, but there's no impact. There's no seeing that these guys get shot. And there's just blood on the wall. So as I was reading this, I'm like, these guys are part of these guys, right? In fact, this guy looks like he's got a beard, and this guy's got a beard. I'm like, is this guy that guy? No. The storytelling is terrible. This is an example of bad storytelling where there's just a guy and then a guy doing a thing, and then 4 other dudes show up and interact with these guys in a way you can't tell, and then they're pushing buttons and presumably blood on the wall. Now, again, I figured it out. I'm not stupid, but I had to stop and go, who is what? Oh, okay. Now, if you're reading a comic and you have to stop and go back to figure out what the hell you just read, that's called storytelling failure. Matt Broom should be able to do better than that. Not good. But you get inside to the room that they went in here. He put in the effort on the tech walls here. I like the shadowy figures coming through the door, the smoke, and whoever this guy is, all this tech and stuff, he put an effort there. He wanted to draw that page for sure. But whoever these guys are busting this guy out of jail. Sure. All right. Back with Stormwatch. Now, here is another example of... This is page 1011. Who's drawing this? This is Pop. You know, you've got the team together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters. But like I was saying, there is that shot in the book here where all the characters are together and they're all sitting on the dude's head. Look at this shot as compared to this shot. Now, granted, the artist has a double page spread to spread his characters out across, but this reads so much better. The backgrounds are better. There's a table they're all sitting at. They're all kind of standing on the same plane around a table, as opposed to just them all bunched up into a corner sitting on a guy's head. Again, it's just one panel. I mean, this is one panel, but this is spread across 2 pages here. But you can see the difference in grouping the characters together. This is Ryan Benjamin. This is Pop. He wins. That's better. But they're like, hey, everybody, we cannot locate Synergy. Remember, she was at the grave. She got kidnapped. Boo-hoo sad. But now they're like, hey, by the way, we figured out that Maul was the guy. He's part of the Wildcats. And he's gone. He got taken. And they're like, well, what are we going to do now? We're just going to let this go? And they're like, the woman or whatever she was, the transporter, she was in and out in a matter of seconds. And they show some pictures of Travis Charest artwork for the Wildcats as they talk about them. We don't know much about these Wildcats. They're kind of a mystery. And if you don't know anything about the Wildcats previous to this actually adds an air of mystery. This would be a great way to introduce a whole new team. Just imagine Stormwatch was the only Wildstorm book out there, and the leader got killed by some giant purple monster, and you find out that it's a member of this mysterious team no one really knows much about, and their little silver hot babe transporter showed up and took them, and they're like, this is them. There's a giant purple monster, there's a guy that flexes into silver metal parts, and a guy with a gun, and a robot, and a hot white-haired like assassin murder babe. If that was the introduction to the Wildcats as a concept, I'm like, that would be awesome. If you just pretend like you don't know anything about them. But Stormwatch doesn't know anything about them. So they're like, so there's conversation back and forth. Like, this is the Wildcats. This guy, Sunburst, for some reason, he has like a psychic impression of who the team is. And they're like, you shouldn't know who that is. These guys are secret. He's like, yeah, I don't know. That just popped into my head. Anyway, they're going to go do a mission, and Diva tells Battalion's brother, Malcolm, that he doesn't get to go because he's too emotionally involved, and he cries like a little bitch about it. Now we cut back to Synergy. She got captured by a mysterious guy. This is Argos, the guy who was at the funeral by himself, the guy I didn't know. As a piece of art, this overhead shot looking down is pretty damn detailed. Who did page 14 here? Salvador LaRocca. His figures, like the faces are kind of goofy, but his background details and his storytelling is way better than all the other guys. Lots of detail added all over the place. She knows who he is from, I think it lists here, a Stormwatch special. I don't know if I have that or if I ever read it, but they ran into him before, and he's kind of got his evil plans coming along, and he's going to do some evil shit. Whatever. So he grabs her. He has some of his monsters grab her and drag her into another room. Now, that was pages 14 and 15. Who is drawing pages 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so this is still Salvador Larroca. I got to say, some of this stuff gets a little bit less interesting. They drag the girl out with some of these monsters. He's like, don't worry, you can't get away from these monsters. They're powerful as they are mindless. So he takes her into another room and shows her this giant dimensional gateway that he created. And she's like, oh, you're creating this gateway to do some evil thing. So then after he tells her that there's no point in her struggling because they're too powerful and too mindless, she just gets away. She's just free and goes diving at him because she's like, I'm not going to let you use this portal for anything evil. And he zaps her and knocks her ass unconscious. And she's like, you know, tie her into the machine. We need to plug her into it. And the world is mine. Again, this is not a bad shot. That kind of works. Anyway, that's the end of the story. But like I was saying earlier, I don't know that I have any of the continuing books on this. And if I do, I don't remember what happens. I might have been done. I do have some issues to, excuse me, some issues. I think I have issue 24. Obviously, I have 25, and then I have 26. But this is 18. I don't know that I have issues 19, 20, 21. 20. I don't know if I have them. I'm going to have to actually go digging. But I think I was done. I'll have to go look and see if we can continue. It's one of those things I'm like, I'm kind of out of the story, honestly. And then we got Loose Cannon Part 2. Again, Ron Mars art, Ron Mars story. Pencils, Jeff Rebner. Again, don't like his art. Chuck Gibson, I do like him. But to give credit, Jeff Rebner, there's some well-drawn stuff. Like this lizard thing, the backgrounds, like these animals, the butterflies. It's not bad. It's kind of well done. But I was looking at this stuff. This panel here, especially this panel here, and some of these shots in here. For those of you who know the short-lived artist who died of cancer at Wildstorm, Nick Manabat, he did the Cybernary stuff. I've covered his work, what little there was, on my channel. You know, he died of cancer at 23, and he just only had a little bit of time to do some art. I feel like Rebner is kind of trying to replicate that look, whether it's intentional or just by luck, I don't know. So to be fair, Rebner can draw. There is some interesting stuff going on, but this just doesn't fit in a Wildstorm comic, in my opinion. It just looks too weird. It doesn't work for me. I'm not digging it. Again, Chuck's inks are looking solid. He put in a lot of work on this shit. But I just see Nick Manabat influence, maybe. Especially in that thing right there. Like this grotesque creature with the tech meshed with flesh. There's a big Manabat influence that it looks like, but I don't know. So it's not bad. I just have no interest. I have no interest in the characters. I have no interest in the story, and I don't vibe with the penciler. So not particularly thrilled. There's a pinup, Alan M. with Chuck Gibson. Chuck's inks are all over these books. So that's it. Again, it's all fine. Mid-tier stuff. A couple of moments that are kind of well done that stand out. I'm like, good job, guys. Probably mostly from the writer, Ron Mars. He knows how to write a story. So, but this not super thrilling. So it is interesting. I'm kind of curious to find out if I have any more of the continuing issues outside of the stuff building up to issue 25. But we're getting very, very close to getting into the Warren Ellis era, where he makes Stormwatch way more interesting. I'm actually really excited to get to it. So I'm going to wrap this one up here. They're fine. I've read worse comics in my life, but good God, have I read better. Boy, have I read better. But I feel like they were all trying, and I full credit to that. Like, I don't feel like anybody was slacking, really. They're trying. It's just sometimes shit just doesn't work. So anyway, that's all I got for now. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.